Hey everyone, welcome back in. Today we're going to go over the Marincess deck. Marincess is very swarm heavy to get your big boss link monsters on the field and have them unaffected by using a specific card as material. But we're going to try a new format. This format, I'm just going to briefly go over what cards I think you need at in this deck to make it work. And then we're going to go over some games. If you guys do want a more in-depth explanation on the cards in the deck, just let me know in the comments or shoot me a message and I will happily make a video just explaining the deck itself with no gameplay, but I really want to focus on the gameplay so you guys can see the combos, how they work. So the first monster I think you need a 3 of in the main deck is Seahorse. I also think you need Blue Tang at 3. I feel like Pass Close at 3 as well is really good for your consistency. Those are basically your extenders and your link summoners, or your monsters, and they all have effects from the graveyard. Spell-wise, you're going to want Battle Ocean at 3. This is what makes your boss monsters so buff and also unaffected, because you use Crystal Heart as material. When you use Crystal Heart as material, when this field spell is on the field, your monster that was link summoned from using Crystal Heart is unaffected. Well, I should say your Marincess monster is unaffected by all opponents' card effects. That's spells, traps, monster effects, etc. They just cannot do anything, and you'll see that in the videos. And the last one, I think you need at least 2, but I run it at 3, is Marincess Wave. It's basically a negate of a monster effect on the field, and as you have higher links on the field, it gains more effects. So if you have a link 2, all Marincess monsters, or all monsters that are face up are unaffected by opponent's card effects until the end of the turn, and if it's a link 3, you can activate this from a hand as like a quick hand trap instead of just a trap card on the field. So that's the main deck I think you need. The extra deck, you're going to need at least 1 Blue Slug, 1 Sea Angel, 1 Crystal Heart. I run it at 2 because I think it's the most important monster, second most important monster in this deck, because it's what makes everything unaffected. And at least 1 Marbled Rock, and at least once Great Bubble Reef. She is your main boss monster. She gains attack based on banishing cards. She's able to banish cards from the graveyard to draw a card. She's able to special summon banish monsters. She's just in everything for you except for a negate, and that's why we run Marincess Wave. So yeah, again guys, this is going to be a way shorter format on the deck explanation. If you want a more in-depth one, just let me know. I'd be happy to make it for you guys. So let's go take a look at some gameplay, and I'll do my best to give you some good commentary on it. Alright, so let's go over this first game. You got a pretty good starting opening hand here. So you use your Signet to basically pull what you want. And so I pull a Blue Tang so I can send stuff to the graveyard. Sea Nettle makes it so it's like a special summon if you have a water monster on the field, just to give me an extra monster for later. So we link into Blue Slug. Blue Slug's ability activates, and I also activate Blue Tangs from the graveyard, able to basically excavate, and if I have a Marincess card I can draw it. And Blue Slug pulls my Blue Tang back. And I'm able to excavate a Sea Star, which basically is like a hand buff. You can use to buff a Marincess by 800. As you saw, I special summoned into Seahorse, and then Seahorse basically used Sea Angel to bring me my field spell. And Mandarin's ability is that if there's 2 Marincess units on the field and one's a link monster, you can target that link monster and you can special summon it to that link zone. So then I extend into Marbled Rock, and then from there I use Marbled Rock's ability to pull Seahorse back into my hand, and then I use Sea Nettle to go into Bubble Reef. And with the Battle Ocean, I'm able to then equip her to make her a 4600, and I banish 1 to draw 1. But they have a Kaiju, and as you can see, you could still be targeted by a Kaiju. And they can't really do anything after that. So then let's go into the next phase, and we start the process all over. We go Bubble Reef, or Blue Tang I should say. And then we're linking into Blue Slug. I'm going to speed it up here. Using Blue Slug, pull things back. Use Blue Tang's ability, And I'm able to pull stuff in. I pull in another wave just to help out if I need it. Go into Seahorse. I go into Splash Mage. So I'm going to pause it right there. You go into Splash Mage. Splash Mage is another extender. You're able to special summon a level 4 from the graveyard, or lower I should say. So it's good, and he's also a water monster, so he can be used as material for your Link 3 and 4 Marincess monsters. So we'll go back. So we use Splash Mage to pull a level 4 back. We go into Marbled Rock. Use Battle Ocean to basically equip her to a 4500. Pull Pascalis back. Buff Marbled Rock, destroy. Use the Kaiju to damage. They use Feather Duster, but they have nothing else, and that's game. So as you can see, it's a very combo heavy deck. But yeah, let's go take a look at another game. Okay, so this next game we got a pretty good opening hand. And we're going first. I like to go first with this deck. So again, we use Pascalis to summon Seahorse. And we go into Blue Slug. Use Blue Slug to pull Seahorse back. And then we use Pascalis to go into our Sea Angel to get our field spell. We go into Crystal Heart. Special summon Seahorse. And then we're going into Marbled Rock. Buff her up. Bringing Pascalis back. And I'm going to end there. We're going to Ash that Pot of Desire. We don't want them drawing extra into their whole game plan. And here's where I do a little bit of a misplay. I should have played Pascalis first into Seahorse, because then I could have went into a Marbled Rock and then pulled, or I could have went into a Blue Tang, or not a Blue Tang, into a Blue Slug, and then I could have pulled, you know, Seahorse back, special summoned her. I could have, there's many other ways I could have played that, and I didn't. So I special summoned there, but I used my Kaiju to take their monster away. And they use a Battle Fader, so I'm like, okay, the weirdest hand trap that nobody really uses, but people have been using it since the NR Festival. I destroy their spells with Harpy Feather, and that's game. Alright, so we got a couple more. Let's go take a look at some more. Alright, here's another game. This one I make a huge misplay at the beginning. And you'll have to see how I recover from it. So I go Pascalis. I don't have anything to target her into. So I go into Blue Slug. And I didn't need to use Blue Slug's ability. If I would have just went into my... So I used Blue Slug's ability to pull Pascalis back, which I didn't need to. I could have used World Legacy Succession. And basically you target a monster in your graveyard and you can special summon it to a zone your Link monster points to, and you can only use it once per turn. I could have used that to bring Pascalis back. Then I could have gone into Sea Angel, gotten my field spell that way. But instead I did not when I should have, and I got stuck having to play Anemone. And Anemone, basically you can bring stuff back from the... you could bring a unit with 1500 or less attack back from the graveyard and then special summon it to a target zone and then go into there. So that was where my big misplay was, and you'll see me have to recover from here. And then I realized it, and then I used Suppression Legacy so I could at least go into Marbled Rock. And I see he's playing Gadgets, so much like Infitrack from the NR Festival. Again, this is in Platinum, but it looks like they upgraded their deck for that. And so then I decided to summon and go straight into Access Code Talker. I had the field to do it. I can get a buff Access Code Talker for a big hit. But of course his effect goes off and he can special summon. He starts loading his hand. And so we have to do a little bit of work here. And I have a Solemn Judgment in my trap zone, so it's all about just waiting it out here to see what he does. And I know he's going to go for a big XE summon, either an 8 or a 12. And he gets an 8, and he goes into 97, and I'm just going to Solemn it, and that ends that plan there. And then he goes into Malevolent Sin, which is actually pretty smart. He banishes, gets a hit on me, gets buff, but I get access code back. And here's where people don't think I would do it. I went into Sea Angel to get the field spell. Use the field spell to basically, with my access code talker, make a Splash Mage. And then use Splash Mage to bring Pascalus back to go into my Marbled Rock. Equip her. Pull my Marincess Wave back for a negate whatever comes out. And now I have something on the field. It's not indestructible, but then I use my Ash to counter his Infitrack. And there you go. And if he did anything else, I still had my Marincess Wave at that point to go. So that was a combo. Most people don't expect you to ditch your big boss monsters if it means that I've noticed most people don't expect you to ditch those big boss monsters that have good abilities to go into something else, but I knew I needed the Marincess Wave just to counter anything he needed, and my best way to get it back was to get my way into Marbled Rock. So that's that game. We got some more to look at. Let's go. Alright, so here's another game that we're going to look at. I don't have the greatest opening hand, but we're going to work with it. So we go with the field spell right off the bat. We'll go into Blue Tang. And then we'll use Blue Tang to put Seahorse in the graveyard. We'll summon Blue Slug. And then we'll use Blue Tang's ability to hopefully excavate something good. Just anything that can get us going next turn. And I see there's a Blue Tang, so I just pull her in. We pull back a Seahorse. We're going to summon Seahorse, and we're going to go straight into Crystal Heart. Because, again, Crystal Heart is the function of this deck to make everything unaffected. And I just equip her just to give her a little bit higher attack. And so it looks like he's playing Dark Magician, so I'm like, nope, you're not going to get that polymerization out. And you can tell he goes into plan B. He has a good plan B here, is to swarm the field a little bit. And when he goes into his battle phase, you're going to see basically Crystal Heart's ability is I was able to discard a Marincess monster from my hand. And she takes no battle damage. I use Harpy's Feather Duster, and he surrenders. So as you can see, using that Crystal's Heart ability, if you can only get her on the field, it's okay. She can survive for a turn as long as you have Marincess monsters in hand. You could basically discard them, and then go from there. The next turn, I didn't have the greatest moves to go, but, you know, it got him to surrender. There's not much else I could have done, but him surrendering off me removing his spells and traps was probably the best for me. And, you know, there was nothing else I could really have done, so him surrendering was probably the best. Alright, so this last game here is going to be against that dreaded burn deck that nobody likes to play against. I don't either. But using Bubble Reef is probably the coolest way to do this. So I use Signet to basically send Mandarin in to grab Blue Tang and then to send Seahorse. So I'm sending my materials that I can use from the graveyard to the grave and then moving from there. Then I link summon Blue Slug, use Blue Tang's ability. As you can see, I'm going to have the Battle Oceans, but I decided to grab a Seahorse basically to set up my turn after this for my turn 3 in case they remove my Link monster or my boss, whoever I get out. I use Seahorse to go into Sea Angel because therefore I have extra links in the graveyard, and it ends up helping out anyways, because the less links that they can, or the less extra deck they can banish, the less damage they can do to me. I pull Mandarin back, and I go into Crystal Heart. I use World Legacy Succession to pull back. You could have pulled back anything. I decided to pull back Blue Tang. And to go into my Bubble Reef, and then I'm going to use Battle Ocean to equip her to get her up to a 4,000, and there we go. So during the standby phase, Bubble Reef is able to banish a monster, a water monster, to basically draw a card for you. But also her secondary ability is when she banishes, when a card is banished, she gains 600 attack per banished card that turn. And as you can see, they're excavating to get whatever they need. And then I noticed that they're going to be playing the Dynamite deck. So I'm like, cool, banish everything. So my thought process here was let them banish cards, because that's going to put Bubble Reef up to a one-hit kill zone. Or I could use her at least as a 200 by using her ability at the beginning of my turn to then lay down some units onto the field. As you can see, I have Pascalos, which I could have used to lay down Blue Tang. And then I could have laid down another Mandarin, or I could have special summoned a Mandarin, and I would have had enough to swing for game, especially, and I could even use Sea Star to put myself over the top. But yeah, so here we go. This is still their turn, by the way, so they're going to excavate using Necroface. They're going to excavate 10 cards to the banish zone. And as you can see, Bubble Reef just keeps getting buffer. But I could also use Bubble Reef to special summon, so... And here's the turn change where I use my ability and they're like, boom, we're going to use Banquet of Millions. And we're going to use Trap Trick to get Dynamite on the field. And I'm like, that's cool. So I just need to survive, and you're going to see this all head in there. And let's check here. So I have 24 banished cards. That's going to leave me at probably 800 LP left, somewhere around there. I think it's around 800 LP. But you're going to see Bubble Reef hit 11,000 attack points. So that's where we're going to swing for game. So use Dynamite. And they do 7,200, so I'm at 800 LP left. But she is at 11,800, and we swing for game. I got lucky they didn't have a second Dynamite, let's be honest. But either way, a win's a win. So that's the Marincess deck, guys. Again, if you want a more in-depth combo guide or an in-depth deck list guide, I will definitely be happy to make a video of that for you guys. Just let me know and I'll take care of it. Otherwise, in a brief second, you're going to see the deck list itself. And that's that. So that's all the games, guys. Thanks. Alright, thank you guys for tuning in. Really appreciate all the support on this video. You guys just like and subscribe. Also check out my other content. I have more Master Duel content in my channel, and also check out the Teppen content as well. Again, thank you guys for stopping by. Leave some comments, like, and subscribe. Have a good one.